Hi all. Trust you've all had a good day. I've had a good day. It's been a really good week. And trust you're all enjoying the summer or the not so summer weather. There's something that's been on my mind for a long time. Something that I really want us to think about. I really want us to ponder about. Something that I hold dearly to my heart and I feel so strongly about. And if you're close to me, you're my friend, you are someone that I talk to regularly, you will know that this is something I am so passionate about. It is about our attitudes and our behavior towards the elderly in our society. And notice I've used the word elderly. I've not just said parents. For some of us, we grew up in societies and in communities where we are raised not only by our parents but by other adults around us. For example, our uncles, our aunties, our parents, friends, and other responsible adults. So I prefer to use the word elderly, and when I talk about elderly, I mean parents as well. So, when we talk about the elderly, what do we really mean? I mean, for me, in a very simple way, someone that's been through life challenges, that have been through life, and they are now at a place in their, at a stage where they are aging and they are more mature and they see things differently sometimes from the way we all see it. And when I talk, I like to talk use the Bible because the Bible is a word of wisdom. It's a massive book of wisdom. It contains wisdom for daily living. And the verse that comes to my mind when I talk about this is Psalm 71, verse 9. And it says, "Do not cast me off in the time of old age. Forsake me not when my strength are spent." I like those keywords. Cast me off, not forsake me when my strength is spent. From this verse, it is very obvious that there will be a time as humans, our physical strength is going to fail us. Our mental strength is going to decline. And so, the Bible says, do not cast such people off. Do not forget them. Do not ignore them. Do not treat them with contempt. Doing so, no matter the reason, based on our upbringing or the relationship we have with our elderly relatives or parents now, is going against the word of God. It's just not, it's not humane. It's not right. I love the elderly around me and I have a lot of respect and great admiration for them. And if you are someone that I speak to, anytime I ask, I talk to you and I say, "Oh, how are you?" and stuff like that, the next thing I ask is, "Are your parents?" Hope you're talking to them. And that's because I do really care. I genuinely care about the elderly. And I know that our parents sometimes don't need the things we give them. They just need us to call them and ask if they are okay. Some of us are in diaspora and we live, hundreds of miles or thousands of miles away from our parents. Or some of us that live, in the same country with our parents. But because of the challenges of modern life, we tend to be quite far away from our parents. And for some of us, it has become, out of sight is out of mind. And this should not be so. During this lockdown, I've jumped or bumped into comments that people write and they talk about their parents, and some of them leave quite a bitter taste in my mouth and makes me wonder if we have forgotten that we are on that kind of a journey as well, and that we are not going to stay young forever. We are going to be in the same state that our parents are, at some time. As a society, we need to remember that most elderly used to be young, they used to be agile, they used to be adventurous and strong individuals with hopes and aspirations. And just because they are now they are frail, they are aging, they're more vulnerable, and they do things in a more thoughtful manner because they are more reflective. Sometimes we forget, we patronize them, we treat them with contempt, sometimes we disrespect. Some of us, unintentionally, But we do things that kind of reinforce society stereotypes, and we do things that make them feel as if you're stupid. And sometimes we mistake, their lack of physical strength for, lack of mental strength. My point of view, we need to stop and think. We need to stop and think about what we're doing, because it's a circle of life and it's coming back to us. Recently, I was watching a YouTube video, and I bumped onto a comment or some comment that were made by people. They were talking about parenting, and I read some of the comments, and some of the comments I read there left me quite distraught, and it made me for some days to think carefully about what our present attitude is. It doesn't matter whether you're a Christian or you're a Muslim or you're black or you're white or you're from a particular ethnic group. The treatment of the elderly in our society needs to reflect humanity, needs to reflect the fear of God. Some of the comments I read that day, some of those people are my age, and some of the comments I read that they were derogatory, they were really dreadful and utterly despicable. Despite some of the justifications that were given, like I said before, some of the justifications were not necessary. People, there were justifications that might be true, because people were talking about the fact that the parents were harsh when they were bringing them up. They were high-handed, they were self-centered. They used corporal punishment to enforce discipline. Despite all this, I just felt some of the very vindictive and vengeful outbursts that I read that day was not necessary. And if you're listening to me and you fall into that category because you have a very sour relationship with your parents, you might need to take a step back and think, because what we do come round. And those of you that are from the side of the world you're from Africa, and you're born in the 60s, 70s, or in the 80s, you would know that, some of us are brought up by our parents, and our parents we might feel that our parents are quite strict, they're quite stern, but don't forget that most of them did what they did because they felt that was the best way they could raise us. Now, when we think about it, another Bible verse comes to my mind, and it says, it's Proverbs 23. I love the book of Proverbs 23:22, and it says, "Listen to your father who gave you life, and do not despise your mother when she is old." Do not despise your mother. Listen. Even when they are old, they've got something to say. They are full of wisdom. Gray hair comes with wisdom. They come with experiences. They've seen the things you see. There's an African proverb that says, what an adult can see sitting, a child cannot see it standing. And there is big wisdom in that. For some of us, we use our experience of how we were brought up as a yardstick to measure the way we deal with our parents now. Now they are frail, they are no more walking. Some of us will depend on us. Some of us are so bitter about what they've done to us that we've not find it in our heart to forgive them. I read somebody that said, I don't talk to my parents anymore. I just send them their allowances. And I asked myself this question: where is our sense of being graceful? Where is our sense of being graceful? For all we care, we are all parents now. For all we care, our best practice of parenting now might be interpreted by our children the same way we have interpreted, the way our parents brought us up. Some of our children are watching us. They are looking at what we are doing, and what goes around comes around. And so you know what? Our children learn by imitation. They say the way you treat your parents. They know you never call your mom. They're very sensitive. They know you never speak to her. You don't call her. You don't have any relationship with her. What do you want them to learn from you? For some of us, we need to improve our parents' quality of life. We need to be intentional about it. We need to do it now. Don't wait till your parents are dead before you show the world how much they mean to you by throwing big parties, big burials for your rich friends to showcase how much you love your mom or your dad or your uncle or your aunties. Let me tell you one thing. They will not be partaking of the big cow and the fat cow. They will not even know they were buried in a very expensive gold-plated casket. And all those is just for you to reassert how rich and how comfortable you are. Dead bodies don't care about expensive coffins. The living do. Do the needful now by ensuring that they live comfortably, they eat well, they enjoy the quality of life that they deserve. 12 years ago, I was standing at the bus stop with my mom, and there was this elderly woman standing next to us, and we were both waiting for the bus. And below was on a Friday. We looked up, and there was a burial procession passing by, with the ass and the convoy of limousines and Bentleys, with a massive a sign of rest in peace, mom. And we were looking at the procession and the woman, and then she looked at my mom and said, I'm sure that woman in that coffin, just like me and you, never rode in a limousine, never even rode in a Bentley, but now they're taking a dead body in that really expensive car to the church for burial. And she said, bunch of hypocrites. I looked at her, and what she said, that it touched me, and I felt really, really uncomfortable to be left there. But she was saying the truth. Some of us, we just need to ensure that our elderly relatives, some of us, our parents have passed on, and we are responsible for our elderly relatives, and we just need to make sure that we look after them. We don't just send them money. Some of us are quite generous. We send them money, and we keep sending them a lot of money. We send them dollars and euros and pounds. But just for some of them, all they need is just a phone call. Some of them don't need that much money. And even though we think we're doing our duty, we're ticking the boxes in our head that we're supposed to do, we're actually not doing what they really wanted. We're not doing what they want. Some of us just need to call our parents, 5 minutes, 10 minutes chats in a week. We don't wait till they've left about 5 or 6 voice messages, or your mom called, please call me back and call me back. And, so for some of us, we call our parents back and they say, oh, I can't even remember why I called you. Oh, and they just, they mention something so simple, and you think, is that why you called me, in your head? But actually, they're calling to have a conversation. They're bored. They're calling to have a conversation. So sometimes we just need to do that. And I know we're all busy, we're all running around, but it's always good for us to do that. Some of the money we give them, like I said, they don't really need it. And some of them are just saving that money and saving it. And for some people, their parents have passed on, and they've looked at their account and they were shocked at how much money was there. They never needed that money. We were just giving them the money, and old people being very prudent, they just kept saving that money and saving that money for you to inherit that money again. Because like I said before, they don't really need that money. Now, if you are told that your parents have a week or 2 weeks or a month to live, what would you do differently? I think for some of us, we need to start doing those things now. Quickly, I'm just going to talk about some of the things, some of the reasons why we need to reflect on our attitude. Number 1, it is a cycle of life. We are going to be in their shoes one day. Number 2, it is inhumane to treat people who are weaker, people who are at our mercy, with disrespect and with unkindness. Number 3, our children are watching us, they're seeing what we are doing, they are learning by what we do. Number 4, some of us owe our life to our parents' generosity, their sense of selflessness and sacrifices, despite what we think. Even though the elderly are not as strong and are not as strong as we are, but they are full of wisdom. Some of them, if we just listen to them, that wealth of experience will be the solution to some of the issues that we have. Finally, very important, the worst thing is for someone to die in their old age, feeling rejected, forsaken, neglected, useless, and unloved because of something they've done in the past. No matter what your parents have done, or your uncles, or any adults that you've had a relationship with in the past, no matter what they have done, find it in your heart to forgive them. Find it in your heart to love them back. Find it in your heart to build a good and a cordial relationship with them. As a society, we need to be intentional and begin to change the way we treat the elderly. We need to think carefully about what we are doing. We need to make sure that we reflect the goodness in us through what we do to our elderly. Thank you.